To address the elephant in the room, I was originally planning to upload a very big project video today about Batman Arkham. It was kind of a timeline. I wanted to take a look at my opinion on the ending of Arkham Knight and where the character has been since then and what really happened, because a lot of people do ask, hey, this is very open to interpretation. What are your thoughts on the end of that game? Unfortunately, compiling all the audio and all the video and all the actual points, I have like a 5-page script so far. Those things are taking me a little bit, so that still will come out. I'm not sure if it will be the next video or the video after that. I am hesitant to do too many Batman videos in a row because when I do that, YouTube only recommends that content to people and won't show them anything else I make for like a month. But rest assured that is coming out. Today I wanted to take a little look back though at the same game, Arkham Knight, because I was replaying some of the Arkham episodes, the DLC, and I honestly think that this game has some of the best and worst DLC in the entire franchise, and I wanted to talk about one that really pissed me off. Like, it really got under my skin. So before we hop into it, if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Those of you who have already subscribed, I appreciate you very much, and we do have a Patreon as well as a channel membership program with exclusive goodies that is found with the join button down below this video. I appreciate my members very, very much. There will be a little thank you at the end of the video. But a while back, I made a video about 5 of the worst DLCs in the Batman Arkham franchise, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember if this made that list. I have a very hard time going back and watching some of my old videos. I don't really understand how some of them gained traction because I genuinely find some of the production quality and also some of my justifications very bad for certain things that I believe. I feel like my reasoning has developed since then. When looking at this DLC, which is Catwoman's Revenge, I was kind of originally thinking, should I even talk about this? This DLC was like $2 in the United States. I don't know what it was elsewhere, but it was $1.99 US here. So it's like, can you complain about a $2 thing? And I thought about it and I thought, you know what? If I go to the store and I buy a candy bar for $1, because yeah, they're like $1 now or more, and I bite into it and I find a massive screw and it shatters my tooth and it's in the candy bar, I'm not worried that it was only $1. I'm worried that my tooth was busted in half, right? I'm just pissed off at having a bad time and having to deal with it. And that's how I feel with the Catwoman's Revenge DLC, which is very, very frustrating because I love this character. I love Selina Kyle. I really wish more had been done with her romance with Bruce in this continuity. Really wish they had gone into that more and fleshed it out other than just a fleeting thing. But it is what it is, and, you know, getting a chance to play as her after the events of the story of Arkham Knight and after Nightfall, it sounds like a surefire win. On paper, it's a super cool idea because it's essentially another version of what we got to see at the end of Arkham City. Now, Arkham City now has this built in, but when you actually got the game originally, if you didn't pre-order it, I believe it was a pre-order bonus, you were not able to get the Catwoman content. And the Catwoman content, it's one of those things that really helped flesh out the game, I think, for Arkham City, and it sort of ends with going after Two-Face and getting your revenge on Two-Face for what he did to Catwoman during the story of Arkham City. And now, while it is a little bit repetitive to have Catwoman taken hostage again in Arkham Knight, and to have her go after, you know, a supervillain for revenge again, I did think it was cool how it kind of rhymes with itself in that way. And it's sort of like, okay, well, Catwoman's gonna get the last laugh here against Riddler for what he put her through, really. So on paper, it's a great idea, and I think it's like a surefire sale. It's something that just sounds like it works. But once you actually get into it, the DLC gameplay is so bad in this that it's just unreal. Pretty much it consists of going around ceilings and just pickpocketing people, which is something we've done in this series before. It's not like horrible, but it's not really that fun. And then it deals with taking people out. This is probably the best part of this DLC, is going around playing a giant Predator map, but without any constraints on you for having to get medals in this giant toy shop. I thought that this was really cool, and I thought that it actually did kind of get a little bit challenging, at least for me. I'm not the best Catwoman player in the world, to go around taking out all these thugs with guns and to just kind of have a fun time. It's just like a little playground experience. But the DLC starts to really devolve as you go down into the Riddler's actual area, into his actual, I would say, robot factory, where he has his computer stored, where essentially you're trying to hack it to get all of his money. And the best parts of this DLC, other than just the Predator map portion, is pretty much the dialogue between Riddler and Catwoman. I thought it was really funny and well done, and I also do think there's a line in here that's very interesting that's going to play into our next Arkham video, involving the story of what happened after Arkham Knight. So there are a couple of cool dialogue things in this, And honestly, those dialogue things probably justify the $2 price point just because of the voice actors' performances. I thought that they were very good. But overall, once you get downstairs, the gameplay really devolves. It very quickly just becomes a beat 'em up. It's not really even focused on the Arkham style of combat. And I know some people are gonna say, well, Jay, it is the Arkham style of combat. You're playing Arkham, you are doing combos, right? Yeah, for a little bit. And then it just starts to go really screwy. It's not fun at all. Now, think about the Arkham City puzzles with Batman where you were going through Riddler hostage rooms. I thought those were really cool. They were almost Jigsaw inspired in a way from the Saw franchise. I thought they were very creative and fun, and they actually were very unique in the environment where like maybe you'd have to line launch through a entire room of, you know, spinning saws, things like that. Or maybe you'd have to walk on the correct platforms or the correct squares in order to avoid being electrocuted, or use your gadgets to get past a certain object. Like maybe you have to yank down a box and then that box lands, and then you have to use the REC to actually electrify it and use a magnet, and then it goes up and then that opens a path. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a lot of creativity to that. But once it got incorporated into the combat in this game, I think it really sucked. Because essentially what happens is that you end up in a room of shrinking squares. And what I mean by this is that Riddler bots keep coming after you, but actually you are essentially put in a position where the room you're in keeps shrinking. And there was already a map kind of like this in Batman Arkham Asylum. It was actually a combat map where you'd have to move from platform to platform to avoid getting electrocuted while fighting the enemies. There was a time limit countdown. But that map still encouraged you to do things that you learned throughout the game, like use combos and actually attack villains tactically to take out these thugs in a smart way. The Riddler bots section in the Catwoman's Revenge DLC doesn't do that. In fact, you are actively punished for using the game's combat that they have been drilling into your head for multiple entries. You were told to use these combat tactics in Arkham Asylum, and then as they got fleshed out in Arkham City, you were taught more. In Arkham Origins from WB Games Montreal, you were taught new things. And then of course coming into Arkham Knight, it's sort of supposed to be a culmination, the final game, at least for then at 2015, where it was kind of like all of this mixed together into the ultimate Batman combat fantasy. So you're going up against these enemies and you're taught things like, I should use an instant takedown, or I should build up my combo meter and then use this gadget. You're taught those things throughout this entire franchise, but once you start doing them in this shrinking room, you're immediately punished. And look, I'm very happy for the people who say, well, I did this in the first try. That's great. That doesn't negate the fact that most of the Steam reviews for this are all negative because people hated it. It doesn't negate the fact that if you're not playing it a certain way, it's based on luck. And also, I don't really know what people expect when they say that kind of thing. It's not impressive or interesting. It's just obnoxious. Like, there's stuff that I've done in one try, I'm sure, that somebody in the comments has struggled with. And it doesn't help you at all to say, well, I did it in one try, so suck it. That's not helpful. It's obnoxious. You could have done this part telepathically without ever touching your controller. You unlocked your sixth sense and you were using ESP and telekinesis to move the buttons. And to me, other than the fact that you are somehow a freak of nature who hasn't been discovered by the government, that's not actually that impressive to me. I don't care. It's still bad game design that this was set up in this way, because they teach you these combat tactics and techniques throughout the series, and then this punishes you for doing them by shrinking the squares all the way down to just 4 tiny little squares. At that point, you're pretty much just pressing triangle to counter, and then occasionally, or Y if you're on Xbox, or occasionally pressing the strike button to actually hit them. There's no instant takedowns, there's no gadgets you should be using, nothing. You're just sitting there camping in a tiny little 4 square room at the end, just pressing the counter button. And that's it. It's not fun, it's not interesting, it's horribly designed, and it's not really challenging in the way of like, wow, this is hard, how do I figure this out? It's just challenging in the way of, wow, this is obnoxious, this isn't fun, this completely spits in the creativity of the combat system that you've been building up for multiple games. Why did you do this? So yes, obviously I've done this, I've completed it, and for those who, you know, like are like, well, you don't like it because you can't do it, I platinumed Arkham Knight. Okay, I've done all of the trophies in the game, all of the DLC ones as well. It's not that I can't do it, it's that it's really annoying. It's very poorly designed. And if you don't play it in this specific way, you are going to lose, or you're going to win by sheer luck. Because essentially what you have to do at in the whole encounter is you just press strike and counter. And then by the time you get to the very end, the last 4 squares, that's all you're doing as well, but even slower. And then you're just picking off the Riddler bots. It's like one of the most anticlimactic endings to a story mission I've ever seen, and that is what this DLC was pitched as, was a story mission. An epilogue, what happened to Catwoman following the events of Arkham Knight, and also a little bit more of a hint at what's going on in the world after Batman's death, in air quotes, quotation marks I'm doing here. What happened after that death. So, it's built up really well in terms of the setup in Arkham Knight, and then it's executed so poorly that it's insane. I have given some flack in the past to some of the racetrack inclusions, because I think this game focused a lot on racetrack inclusions for its DLC, but honestly, those are 1,000 times more fun than this was. This was just an absolute pain. There was nothing really fun about it, in my opinion, and I honestly think it just came off as a waste of time. Other than getting one trophy, which I believe is a silver trophy, or an achievement on Xbox that's not worth very much gamer score, or Steam or whatever, I don't really think there's a ton of incentive or reason for players to waste their time on this DLC. You'd almost be more entertained and more happy just watching I'm gonna say professional gamer, not me, somebody who's like really good at these games, play it on YouTube, beat it in one try and be done with it and not pull your hair out. And I say that as someone who's a huge fan of the Soulsborne games, okay? I like difficulty. Half the time when I play a shooter, I will crank that difficulty up to either the hardest version of it or the second highest difficulty, on the thing. Because I really like being challenged. I really, in more ways than one, if you watch all my videos, I probably seem challenged to a lot of you. But I really like actually going through challenges and overcoming those things and coming out on the other side. When I beat a Dark Souls boss for the first time and I figured it out, that is a huge feeling of accomplishment to me. It's not to everybody, but it is to me. I like those things. When I can say, oh, I beat this Halo game on Legendary, that's cool to me. I appreciate that experience and I have a fun time. So difficulty is not the problem here. The problem is that it's inorganic difficulty. It's difficulty just by saying we are going to change all the fundamental rules of the game, all the fundamental rules of the series that you've enjoyed to this point. We are changing all of them just to piss you off. We're going to change all of those things just so that you're frustrated, just so that you have a hard time getting through this. And oh, look, it took you half an hour. Was the $2 worth it? Well, yeah, at that point, I guess. But it's like, also, if I wanted to go through pain and suffering for $2, I'm sure I could find someone on the street and pay him to kick me between the legs. Like, it's not exactly a fun experience to suffer. I don't really understand what the point of this was, and it really frustrated me. So again, I don't know if this made my list in the old DLC video. I don't really know. Yeah, maybe I should have gone back and looked, but I cringe watching some of my old videos, some I very much like. So you will have to let me know what I actually picked in that one. If you're interested, that is on the channel. And maybe my opinion will change. Maybe I'll have to redo that list at some point and I'll have to re-look through it, because this really opened my eyes to like, wow, I thought this was going to be really fun, like the Red Hood DLC or Matter of Family or something, and it just sucked. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more content. I appreciate you very much. I do have a big Batman Arkham video I am working on coming up soon. Like I said, I'm not sure if that will be the next video or the video after, but it will be very soon. Also, my wife Jill has started a channel, Magical Jill. I'm on that channel pretty much all the time as well. We review collectibles. We also make videos on Pokemon and Sailor Moon, which is one of my favorite things, stuff like that. And finally, I have a channel where I play through games, Degenerate Plays, which is in the links down below. It's a Let's Play channel that is done podcast style. I know I said finally, but I also want to say a huge thank you to all of my supporters, both on Patreon and also on, of course, the channel memberships on this channel. So thank you very, very much. I wanted to include some names here because you guys mean a lot to me. This list is slightly outdated. I need to remove a couple of names that are no longer members, but I do still want to thank those people because I feel like I didn't enough while they were members, and it means the world to me. So I hope you all have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shui.